Everything worthwhile is uphill. And today's word is uphill. You see, every dream that you've ever had, it's all uphill. If you have a great relationship with somebody, you had to work on it. It's uphill. If you've built a wonderful business, guess what? It was uphill. If you've made the right decisions, they're not easy, are they? It's uphill. And the only way that you can go uphill is to be intentional. Nobody ever accidentally went uphill. You've never talked to a successful person and said, how did you get to the top of the mountain? And then look at you and say, I have no idea. If they're at the top of the mountain, they know how they got there because they had to have effort. It took energy. It took time. Everything worthwhile is uphill.
Because I think any person, any human realizes that if you want some kind of a good outcome, you're going to have to work hard for it. And if you don't work hard for something, you're not going to get an outcome that's really worth much.
You need to love pain to be an athlete. And I know no pain, no this, whatever, all the
quotes.
No, this is real. You need to love pain. However, mentally, physically, love it. You need to love it. If not, stay where you are.
The bottom line is, no one's coming. No one. No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to tell you to turn the TV off. No one's coming to tell you to get out the door and exercise. Nobody's coming to tell you to apply for that job that you've always dreamt about. Nobody's coming to write the business plan for you. It's up to you. And because you're only ever going to do the things that you feel like doing right now or that feel good right now, unless you understand that you've got to parent yourself, you got to push yourself, you're not going to make your dreams come true. You're just not. We're not wired that way. You weren't born that way, you weren't that way when you were growing up, and you're certainly not that way as an adult.
I never ran from anything because I never had nobody to go to. I've always had that, where I'm going. Home to get me? Ain't nobody there.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I've always been in a situation where I'm forced to deal with it myself.
Fuck your tired body, fuck that unmotivated mind, and get out there and do it anyway. You better fight yourself, because you're not only winning when things are going your way. You got to figure out how to win when things aren't going your way.
The path of least resistance never makes you happy. It's like, you have to push yourself. When people talk about self-esteem, I hate this term. Like, so many kids were taught to get a participation trophy for something, and they thought, I'm gonna build their self-esteem this way. People can tell your whole life you're a piece of crap, and your brain can go, screw you, I'll show you, and you become somebody. People your whole life can tell you you're beautiful, you're perfect, you're the best, and you can still not believe them, be depressed about your life and think you're nobody. Your life self-esteem, your self-esteem, esteem for yourself, is earned by you doing something difficult for you.
And he was like, champions are broken. I was like, huh. He's like, people look at champions and try and find something that champion has that they don't have. And he's like, but it's not that at all. He's like, they lack something everyone else has, which is an off button. They just don't stop. And at the end of the day, like, if we're optimizing for outcomes, then the most broken person will win. The person who has the absolute biggest, desire for achievement, the absolute biggest fear or pain that they're running away from, and the hardest impulse control. Now, impulse control, most people would agree is a good thing. The other two, not as much. And so, what are we optimizing for? What problem are we solving? It's my favorite. It's probably the number one most frequently asked question that I ask to our portfolio companies whenever we're about to do anything, which is, what problem are we solving? If the problem that we're solving is that I want to be content, well, there's a lot of ways to do that. You don't need to do all these other things. If the problem you're solving is that you want to be the richest man in the world, well, you're going to have a lot of superiority complex. You're going to have a lot of crippling insecurity, and you're going to have a lot of impulse control, and you're going to have to wait a long time.
This is so true. And when you do these things, you'll start seeing that, okay, well, I used to do this. And when you go out and you don't do it anymore, it's very, very clear that you've made the right decision, because your friends will still be doing that. And you'll find yourself that you don't fit in with the crowd anymore. You just don't fit in.
I give you the map. You are willing to do that?
Yeah.
It's the main point, because everyone wants to be Cristiano, but I give you the map. You think you will do it that? It's difficult. It's
The discipline.
the discipline is the most difficult thing, not only in the sports, but in the life.
If you set your own value by what you believe about yourself, if you think that you're worthless, if you're not very good at it, other people pick that up.
Hey, where do I start? And when's the best time to start? And I have a very simple answer for that. Here and now. That's it. You want to improve? You want to get better? You want to get on a workout program or a clean diet? You want to start a business? You want to write a book or make a movie or build a house or a computer or put together some mobile application? Where do you start? You start right here. And when do you start? You start right now.
Be the now of what you want to be later. It starts right now. And if you're not doing the now, don't ever expect the later to be the person you want to look in the mirror. Everyone's like, oh, later in life, I want to do this. Later in life, I want to do that. Later in life is turning around, looking in the mirror right now. That's the later in life. And unless that turnaround is something in progression, later in life ain't gonna be anything different.
Some people it's attractive and they go, I want to do that too. Like, you seem pretty fucking happy despite all the stress you're under. Like, how are you doing that? And I'll tell people that because I create my own bullshit, and my own bullshit's way harder than whatever I'm facing in the world. And that's how I mitigate the stress of success and pressure and criticism and all that stuff. Like, I do to myself way worse than they're ever going to do to me. So that's how I mitigate it. Also, I calm my body. I calm my mind through calming my body, and I calm my body through work. I make it work, and I make myself do things that are very uncomfortable, that I don't want to do. And by doing that, I develop this strength and perseverance. And some people hear that and like, I don't even want to do that. I don't want to take a fucking nap. You're exhausting me. I'm like, I'm not you. I don't want to do that. And they just like, it takes them away from that. And I'm like, you don't even have to do that. Just go for a fucking walk every day. It sounds like it's easy to do, but when that walk comes, and you look at your clock, oh, it's 8 o'clock, time to go for that walk. You're like, I don't want to walk. I would just rather play video games. I don't want to walk. I'd rather like read emails. I don't want to walk. I'd rather like scroll through TikTok. But if you just force yourself to go for that fucking walk every day, you will develop mental perseverance. You will develop some tenacity. You'll develop the ability to force yourself into work. And it doesn't have to be grueling. It just has to be a thing that you have to do.
I think one of the largest tenets of masculinity for the largest period of human time is ignoring how you feel and doing what you're supposed to do because you're supposed to do it. We feel things, but jobs must be done, whether we are happy or sad. And this is also disappearing from the world. I'm stressed probably 6 days a week. I'm pissed off 6 days a week. But things need to be done.
Right.
So you just have to do them.
Be a dangerous man. Now, being dangerous is not being a threat. They're two different things. All right? And it's not about going out and lifting weights and getting a bunch of tattoos and wearing leather jackets and walking around with your chest and shoulders up, hulking around saying, I'm dangerous. That's very rarely is that a dangerous man. Often the most dangerous man in the room is the quietest man in the room.
You have to start with action. It needs to be, okay, what would have had to have happened in a week's time for me to look back on that week and find pride in myself? Maybe stop breaking promises to yourself. When you say, I'm going to wake up tomorrow at 7 a.m., and when the option comes to hit the snooze button, don't do it. There's one win that you've got for the day. That's action.
Look, when you're a kid, you're all potential. It's chaotic potential. It can manifest itself in any number of ways. And maybe you don't want to give that up. So you're like Peter Pan. You want to be a kid forever because you don't want to give up the potential. And you look out in the world and all you see are Captain Hooks, who've lost a hand, who are chased by death because that's the clock in the crocodile. It's already got a taste of him. He's terrified by death and he's a tyrant. Well, I don't want to grow up to be that. So I won't be disciplined at all. Well, that's no good because the way the potential transforms itself into actuality is through discipline.
When you feel that pressure inside of you and it's very heavy, like weather that's very, heavy and thick, you're motivated, you feel it. I've got to get up in the morning. I've got to do this. I've got to accomplish this. When that pressure goes away and you don't feel any pressure in your life, you can do anything and there's no consequences for it. You'll just waste time, you'll waste years, you'll waste months. You'll never accomplish anything.
Nobody knows what you are. Like even sometimes you don't really even know what you are. You got to take your shot. And it's like, as much as you want people to agree and you want the people around you to be supporting your dreams and all, it's not going to be like that all the time. You got to do it alone.
And as I've said since day one, it's motivation is a feeling that comes and goes, and it doesn't matter whether it's there or not. Discipline is infinitely more important. So no matter how you feel, get up and do what you're supposed to do. That's it. And that's discipline. It's not motivation. If you only did what you were supposed to do when you were motivated to do it, that's leaving it to chance. But if you're disciplined, you go do what you're supposed to do. That's the way it works.
People cap themselves. They look at somebody, and because their mind can't imagine it, they then start talking shit. He has to be doing this, or he has to be doing that. There has to be some trick. There has to be some potion. This is bullshit. No, it's because you cannot allow your mind to open up for the possibility of it can be done, which is why you being people are where they are today. Because you've shackled your mind to have limits. And everybody has a limit, but find it first.
I want to introduce y'all to this very simple concept. That if you want it, you got to go get it. Some of y'all got this concept of what you want to accomplish. You know, some of y'all are motivated by broke. I'm broke, I'm stuck, I'm fucked up, I can't do nothing. Some of y'all are motivated by just wanting to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish. Other folks are motivated by materialistic things. It's a very simple concept. If you want it, you gotta go get it.
When you're pushing to be better, when you're trying to progress your life, when you're trying to improve your situation, it is always going to feel like a struggle. It's always going to feel extra hard, and you're always going to feel like you're fucking it up. That is the nature of what it feels like to push into new territory, to expand your personal boundaries. You have to understand, just like if you were gonna get into a cold swimming pool, when you first jump in there, it's cold, and you jump out of the water and you're like, oh, you can't breathe. And then after a few minutes, it's normal. You don't even notice it, all right? And so what you're going through is the acclimation process to expanding the boundaries in your life. When you're pushing to be better, when you're progressing to be better, it is always going to feel like a struggle. It's always going to feel like you are not winning, when in fact, you actually are.